All right, guys, what we are going to talk about today is understanding why you know that posting content and creating a personal brand is one of the highest leverage things that you can do, honestly, if you're anybody, but especially if you are a business owner or a salesperson or somebody who wants to make money online or anything like that. And I don't just specifically mean to make value based content, I also mean, documenting or just sharing your authentic self. And so you know that these are the highest leverage things that you can do as one of those people, but for some reason, you don't do them or you do them super inconsistently. So, what you're going to get out of watching today is understanding if I know that the biggest lever I can pull inside of my business or inside of my brand is to share content, why am I still not doing it? And at the end of this video, you're going to have the exact strategies to hopefully help you actually go ahead and consistently post the content. And so, if you don't know who I am, my name is Tristan. I have run an agency before. I have been the COO for a 7-figure online business. And what I do now is help founders, operators, people of all kinds remove the limiting beliefs that are stopping them from actually doing the things they know they need to do in order to become the men and women that they desire to become, as I've done for myself inside of my own life. And so the first important thing that we're going to mention as far as content goes is cover the lies that you tell yourself, okay? So we know that we want to post content, but we're busy as business owners or as salespeople or as operators or as whatever you are, doesn't matter what your role is, right? We're busy. And so content requires time. And so when we want to go and post content, we believe that we don't have time, right? So some of the excuses we make is that we don't have time. We don't have ideas to create content around, or the most common one actually, or maybe the second most common behind time is not leverage, no authority. And so I have people come to me all the time and I'm like, hey man, why don't you create content? And they go, oh, well, what would I create content about? I don't have any authority, right? There's no reason for someone to listen to me, which is complete BS because you have your own unique lived human experience and that is 100% unique to you, and everybody should listen to everyone in order to learn something because everybody has something to give, right? And so they believe, or you believe, if you're struggling with these things right now or telling yourself these things, that these are the reasons right here that you don't post content at all or consistently. And you just believe them to be true. But the fact of the matter is, what these are, let me just erase these. Actually, I won't erase them yet. What these are conscious excuses, which inherently are also avoidance / protection mechanisms. You guys get the point. Mechanisms. And so what these are designed to do are keep you safe. Because what is the actual reason that we are not posting content, and the actual reason that we are telling ourselves that we either don't have time or we don't have any ideas or that we don't have the authority, is that we're scared. I don't know what that fear might be for you specifically or where that fear specifically comes from. I'll discuss maybe some of those things in a few moments, but we're scared. We're scared to hit the post button. I know a bunch of people that even make a bunch of content and then just don't put it out. So we are scared to actually post the content. And so we need to demystify what fear actually is. Actually, before we demystify what fear is, let us actually explain what these fears are. So fears are essentially things that we consciously, don't really understand, but subconsciously, like I mentioned before, they're meant to keep us safe. These are designed mechanisms. And so when you don't post content, typically you have a fear of a few different things, but it could be two primary ones. And so fear number one is that if you share something online, you are going to be judged, right? Because your opinion being shared to the public leaves you open to criticism and hate. Another very common one is you feel as though you are an imposter, right? You put yourself in a vulnerable position when you build publicly. And so if you're somebody who's reached massive heights before, let's say, it's all relative, but let's say you've hit $100,000 a month and that's a massive height for you, but you don't inherently believe that you are the type of person that deserves that. I don't deserve 100K per month, right? And you think maybe you got there on a fluke, fluke or through sheer luck, then inherently, if you go and share what you're building publicly, it is infinitely more likely for you to be exposed as a fluke, or that you've achieved that through luck, right? And so what would happen is if you hit this height of 100K per month, you share this with the world, and then all of a sudden you go down to 10K per month, and you maybe actually not even 10K per month. Let's say you lose everything, right? Let's say you lose everything. Well, who also sees that you lose everything? The world. And so you essentially, or at least the story that you're telling yourself, is that if the world sees that I made $100,000 a month, and I inherently don't believe that I deserve that, or that I got there through my skill set or my hard work, I got there through luck, and then I end up losing everything, that is just an affirmation that I am a fraud. And who's going to see that I'm a fraud? The world. And that is very scary, extremely scary. Alternatively, more of a limiting belief explanation is, let's say, for example, you were younger and you spoke up in class, right? Let's draw a little stick figure of a guy. So let's say you're in 5th grade and the teacher asks you a question, and I had the Bieber flow in 5th grade. So let's say, little Tristan answered a question in class. I put my hand up. Hey, I want to answer the question. This marker is not working anymore. Hey, I want to answer the question. And I said something, subjectively ridiculous. So maybe the answer to the question, or maybe the question was, what's 2 plus 2? And I said, 2 plus 2 is obviously 7, which objectively it's not, but that was what I thought it was. And then when I said 2 plus 2 is 7, the whole class laughed at me. Pretty shitty experience, right? The whole class laughed at me. And so you might think, oh, whatever, Tristan, fuck them. What do you care what they thought? Well, I was in 5th grade, which in 5th grade, what are you, 11 years old, 12 years old? And so I didn't have the capacity to process what was happening in that moment. And so as a result of everybody laughing at me, I felt embarrassed, right? Huge amounts of embarrassment. Oh my God, how could I say something so stupid? Tristan, how could you say something so stupid? How embarrassing. And so as a result of feeling embarrassed, that's inherently a negative emotion. I never want to experience negative emotions. Who out here or listening to this video, if you're listening to this video, or anybody in the world desires to experience negative emotions? That's completely ridiculous. And so as a result of being embarrassed and feeling this negative emotion, my brain, as incredibly complex as it is, created, remember I was saying before, a protection mechanism. It created a belief to protect me. It created a fear, right? And this belief is inherently, we'll write it out together here. This belief inherently became, if I share my authentic thoughts, or alternatively, put myself in a position of vulnerability, I might experience a negative emotion. I might be judged. And what do we not want to experience? A negative emotion. And so what my brain does in this specific situation is creating, or what my brain did is, like I said, create a limiting belief. And so this is a belief system, right? The sun is red or orange, or the sky is blue. Those are not the type of beliefs that I'm referring to when I talk about limiting beliefs. I'm talking about real cause and effect belief systems that are subconscious to you, but are dictating everything that you do in all circumstances, right? And so now, as a result of me being 11 or 12 years old and experiencing this negative or this objective circumstance, but negative emotion, I created a belief that is inherently going to dictate how I am operating at the age of 25, 26, 21, 22, doesn't matter the age. And so because this is just in my head now a truth, when I go and I desire to post content, about my authentic self, which inherently is the sharing of authentic thoughts and putting yourself in a position of vulnerability, you don't do it, or you avoid doing it. Reason being, you might experience a negative emotion. It is the exact same, program running inside of your head, regardless of the fact that this happened to you when you were 12, even though now you are, 22, 23, 24, it doesn't matter what age you are, as long as it happened after the initial experience. And so what is happening there is this limiting belief is causing you to behave in a certain way that is out of alignment with who you desire to be or what you desire to do. Reason for that is you fear the potential outcome. You fear the potential outcome of the action. But if we know anything about fear, fear is exactly as it was just described as far as a limiting belief. It's not necessarily true. It's a projection of past beliefs onto a future action. So what it is false. I didn't come up with this, by the way, so don't credit me with it, but it's incredibly true. It's false evidence appearing real. And so there's no evidence that would indicate that just because I share my stuff on social media, I will inherently get hate and experience this negative emotion. There's no evidence of that, right? And even if there is, it's anecdotal. It's not objective. But your brain is treating it as objective evidence. It's basically saying that if you take action, guaranteed result is negative. And that isn't positive for your desires, your conscious desires, right? To grow the business or whatever it may be. And so there is false evidence appearing real inside of your mind. And that is what is holding you back from taking the action on the thing that you know is going to get you closer to your goals. And now the fact of the matter is as well, and the funny thing is, people don't care, right? People are too busy worrying about their own fears and their own false evidence appearing real to, care about what you're doing. And even, I'll kind of play devil's advocate. Even if you do receive hate, at the end of the day, those are just projections of other people's limiting beliefs onto you. You are never going to post a video and receive hate at the bottom of the video from somebody else who is also posting content and who is in the position that you desire to be in. About 99.99% of the time. The people who are actually going to hate on you and tell you to stop posting or that your content isn't good are the people who themselves want to post content but don't have the balls to do it. They are too busy worrying about their false evidence appearing real. But they don't have the conscious capacity to overcome that. So you are inherently one step ahead of them. And now, I wouldn't make this video without providing you guys with some sort of solution to this problem. Aside from you just understanding that the evidence you're creating inside of your mind is just fake. It's not real. It's not going to happen. The worst case scenario is only going to happen 1 time out of 100. The other 99 times you're going to get exactly the outcome that you desired to have. But what is helpful in actually getting you to post the content is temporarily reframing the way posting might feel to you. And so if posting content inherently opens up the, primary thought of I will be judged, we want to reframe it to something that serves us, right? So if you desire to help people, sorry, let me just finish writing this down. And so if you desire to help people, you can immediately reframe the thought from, okay, let's say 1,000 people see this video. It gets 1,000 views. And again, think about how insane a room of 1,000 people is. I have videos with over 100,000 views. I filled an NFL football stadium of people who saw my content. And I didn't receive a single hate comment on it. And even if I did, doesn't matter. Regardless. And I'm not like somebody who gets a lot of views, right? There's people who get like 50 million views. So imagine 50 million people seeing your stuff. Regardless. Reframe this to something that serves you. So if you are somebody that wants to help people, okay, if that is your inherent purpose, you're like, I just want to affect another life. I want to help the version of me from 2 years ago who was stuck making no money, right? I want to help the version of me who was stuck in a 9-to-5 job before, just like me, before I decided to take a chance on myself, even if you're not where you desire to be as an end goal. No matter what that is, take the inherent fear that you have and reframe it to a positive structure. because what you think about becomes your reality. And so if you constantly think about the fear you have, you will constantly be projecting that fear onto other people and through your content or your non-posting of the content. And so all you need to do is reframe it and stop asking yourself, what will they think if I share this piece of content? And start asking yourself, who might I impact and who might I influence as a result of sharing this content? And so a video like this, for example, there might be a bunch of people who don't see it. There might be a bunch of people who do see it. But I know for a fact that there are people out there not posting content as a result of what I described today. And so I know for a fact, if somebody takes the time to watch through this entire video, they will be more positioned to actually go and post the content that they have been consciously desiring to for quite some time now. And so instead of thinking about all the people who might look at this video and say, oh, Tristan, what a loser, like look at him posting this content, I'm thinking about all the people who are inherently going to benefit from my sharing of this information. And then the second thing I want you guys to do is audit the evidence or potential outcome. And what I mean by that is, if we're being honest, what is the worst case scenario? If you post a piece of content on the internet, what is the worst case scenario? Somebody from high school sees it and send it to a group chat of people who are also from your high school and call you cringe. Who cares? Seriously. Like, who cares? Like, the world is going to continue to go around. Your day is going to continue on. Your life is going to continue on. Their life is going to continue on. And ultimately, the people who are going to be critical of what you are doing are oftentimes, almost actually never, going to be the people who are in the positions that you want to be in the future, right? And it sounds corny and it's very cliche, but it's true. Hate always comes from below. And hate is always a projection of shadow parts of other people's selves who actually admire what you're doing. And so if you're ever, finding yourself being criticized by other people for what arguably feels like nothing, it's usually because they are not confronting a part of themselves that they have that is causing them to act irrationally. And so the third thing I want you guys to do is really simple, right? Because a lot of people are scared of appearing as like fake or LARPing, as they say. And you don't need to do that. Like there's no rule set saying that you need to fake it to make it or LARP your way to success or LARP your way in your content or whatever. So all you need to do is just document. Don't perform. If you have not achieved something, don't pretend as though you have. If you have achieved something, share it with the world. If you have achieved something, share the lessons that you went through in order to achieve that thing. If you are going through the achievement of the thing, the process to get to the achievement, share what you're learning in present tense, right? Everybody will have something to gain from what you are sharing. But what I don't suggest that you do is perform. Do not share an inauthentic version of you online. Just, don't fake it, because people will always see through the mask that you're providing. And ultimately, at some point, you're going to feel completely out of alignment if you're sharing a version of yourself that is totally incongruent with who you actually are, right? The more that you try to put on a mask for people, the more you forget that you're actually wearing one, and the more you feel this dichotomy of who I am versus who I pretend to be. It's hugely energy taxing to be somebody that you're not. And eventually, you're going to crash and burn out, and that is why there are so many entrepreneurs, creators, fake gurus, whoever you might think of, who only spend a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 in the industry, because they're not authentic. They are playing a character, and you can only play a character for so long. So just document what you're going through as your authentic self, and don't perform as somebody that you're not. What I really want you guys to take away from this video today is the reason you're not posting content isn't because you don't have the time. It's not because you don't have the skill. It's not because you don't have the ideas. It's not because you don't have the authority. It's because your perception of other people is being reflected back onto other people's perception of you. You are worried about what other people are going to think of you. And the reality of the matter is you don't need to worry about that. That is false evidence appearing real, causing you to take actions that are out of alignment with the person that you want to be. So take this advice today and go post. Go post that content. Post whatever. Just share it. Because whatever it may be, it might be cringe at first, and it might not be of a high quality, but I guarantee you it is going to stir something in you that is going to give you confidence that you are doing the things that you need to do in order to get closer to the goals that you have. And over time, you will improve, your content will become less cringe, and it will be a net positive to your business. Stop letting fear stop you from doing the things that are going to get you closer to your goals. If you guys have any questions, you can leave some comments down below, or you can hit me up on Instagram at tristan.vds. Again, I help founders, salespeople, high-level operators, everything of the sort, deal with these, mental subconscious blocks as a result of being able to remove them from my own life. I have, done all the things that you guys have done. I have been the salesperson. I have been the operator. I have been the agency owner. I've done all those things. And so I understand what you're going through. And if you need some help overcoming the things that I described today, feel free to hit me up and we can talk. If you have any questions, like I said, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.